What's up, everybody? It's your boy DJ Vader. Um, so just a quick heads up. Well, this was supposed to be originally at 12 p.m. I apologize for the delay in getting and things getting set up and everything. But here we are today, you guys. As you can see, we are going to be doing episode 2 of Mental Health Monday. So first and foremost, welcome back to Mental Health Monday. This space is all about honesty, healing, and real conversations. Uh, quick, quick, uh, quick little disclaimer here. Moving forward, this will be a solo space uh, with guest interactions. Not because anything failed, but because sometimes growth asks us to realign and listen to ourselves more closely. Um, as always, I'm not a mental health professional, just a human learning out loud and holding space. Today, we're talking about emotional recalibration and how to come back to yourself when life knocks you off center. And bear with me right now because we're gonna be kind of horizontal for the time being as my phone is charging. But we'll go ahead and switch back. Uh, but yeah, so we're going to start off with our weekly check-in. Um, this is a Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing, Beard? Um, so we're going to go ahead and do a quick check-in. Again, you guys, this is open to discussion as well. So if you guys want to go ahead and talk about your week, I'll try to address them down below in the comments. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and start off this live today, just kind of checking in with everybody how everybody's week was last week. So if you guys have something you want to share in the comments, go ahead, share below. If not, I'll go ahead first and start off. This week, last week was clarifying but uncomfortable. I had a moment where I realized something that I was building wasn't aligned anymore. And instead of forcing it, I chose to step back. Um, that was a hard thing to do because there were some uh, connections that were severed along the way. That was hard, but it was also grounding, you know. So, but that's part of what mental health is all about, you know. There's gonna be spells where we have the good and the bad, you know? I mean, if you guys want to go ahead and just keep sharing your updates down below, um, I can go ahead and invite, if you guys want to go ahead and join in as guests, you're more than welcome to as well. Thank you for the likes, Worth. Um, but again, yeah, like I said, this space is all about open interaction. If you guys have anything you guys want to particularly talk about, you guys are more than welcome to do so in the comments. Um, So let's go ahead and shift into something a little bit more reflective. We're gonna so last week we okay, go ahead, Beard. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go ahead and share your story, and I'll read it in the comments. Go ahead, buddy. You're about to start unload. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you. Okay, cool, man. That's cool. All right. Um, So last week, if you guys remember, we kind of did as far as our mood check-in, we kind of, uh, were using emojis to kind of describe how everybody was feeling. Instead of emojis, we're gonna think of your mood today kind of like the weather. Um, so if it's drop like a sunny emoji, if you're kind of particularly feeling grounded or light. Um, you could do like a stormy cloud if you're feeling overwhelmed or emotionally charged. You could kind of do like like just a single cloud if you're okay, but not feeling clear. A little drizzle, just, low level stressed or just sad. Um, and everybody, we've kind of been feeling a cold spell around here lately. So if you're feeling even frozen, to indicate that you're feeling disconnected or shut down. Moon for sleepy. I like it. I like it. Um, or something for chaotic where, it's just like, everything feels loud all at once. Just you could do like a headphone emoji or something like that. But that's kind of how we're gonna approach this little mood check-in here. Um, my weather today kind of feels kind of like a cold morning, if you will, but not because the weather here today was cold, but kind of in general. Hey, Reggae, welcome in. Thank you for the likes, everybody. Um, my weather today kind of feels like just like a cold morning. It's kind of been a clear air, but definitely a chill, not stormy, not chaotic. Um, just kind of like brisk, grounding, and a little quiet overall. Um, the kind of weather that wakes you up and kind of makes you slow down a little. Um, but in general, whatever your weather looks like today, it's valid because you know it's indicative of how we feel. I mean, it's chaotic in our head, but we got to find a way to ground ourselves. So before we go deeper, let's bring ourselves into the present, kind of with like a quick reset. Um, So I want to share why I actually use this reset method. Whenever I'm feeling super, like whenever my nervous system is like I mentioned, overly chaotic or something, my thoughts are looping, or how you can feel your body kind of like feeling tight or clenched up. This is one of the simplest ways I kind of bring myself back without not really needing to fix the situation. So when my thoughts start looping, I don't try to fix everything at once. I just try to come back, kind of like an outer body experience. I try to bring myself back to center. And this is kind of the simplest way I can do that. So we're going to go ahead and practice it together. Just go ahead and take a moment with me. Yes, my camera is at an angle, and I've got I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, as soon as the camera is, or well, my phone is charging at the moment. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna look for one thing that you can see, something, one sound that's around you. If you notice anything besides just the clothes you've got on, something touching your skin, and just take one slow, deep breath and just ask yourself, do you even feel just 1% more reset than before? And if so, drop a yellow heart emoji in the comments. Um, this is a small but powerful practice, just to kind of eliminate all the thoughts. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to just take 30 seconds and just, because what we did last week, we did the Om meditation. So we're just going to do 30 seconds of just feeling all the sensory things we kind of can around us, just listen for the sounds. It could even be your own breath. Um, just try to feel everything kind of just touching you on your skin, your clothes, whatever. And that's what we're going to do to ground ourselves. So sometimes this tiny reset is all we need to really soften the edges, and that kind of brings us into today's conversation. Um, we're discussing emotional recalibration and how we find our way back to ourselves. So, um, think of emotional recalibration not like fixing yourself, but it's like literally like when you have a quote unquote outer body experience, it's kind of that way of bringing yourself back to center, especially after stress, conflict, overstimulation, or just in general emotional overload. Um, but before we get into the heavier part of this conversation, I want to just warm things up with a few questions. These aren't meant to be answered perfectly. These are just kind of your general thoughts. Um, so I guess I would ask you guys, what knocks you off your center the quickest? I guess like what immediately, like think about it like a machine that just spazzes out. What immediately puts you guys into full tilt mode? So for me, it's situations whenever I feel misunderstood or where I have to over explain myself. You know, so that would kind of be like, hey, how do we, it could be situation specific. So I leave that up to you guys, kind of just to do that kind of reflection. Um, Another question I guess I would ask you guys would be, what does the act of resetting look like for you guys on a bad day? So, um, being misunderstood and then it getting twisted. Yes, I totally understand. Cindy, welcome in, everybody. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. This is Mental Health Monday, episode 2. We are discussing emotional recalibration. Um, so we're talking about resetting in a way where, if you're pulling back, just simply, just trying to find your space and just trying to give yourself just permission to be quiet. That's kind of like, another form of resetting. Um, Another thing, I guess, when we talk about regulating emotions, we always reflect on, did we teach it ourselves? Who taught us this really? Is it something that, you know, we had to learn through burnout, mistakes, reflection, as most situations tend to do, Um, and these questions reveal so much about just what throws us off center in general. So now we're going to go deeper into what happens inside of us when we stay stuck there, kind of where our nervous systems don't know that the threat is over per se. So we kind of stay in what I like to call alert mode. Um, just like constantly anything would just like the alarms are just constantly going off in your head. That's what we're going to be discussing. Um, for me, alert mode, and it's person specific, so everybody has different feelings when their senses are heightened, right? So for me, alert mode kind of looks like racing thoughts, like literally the physical tensing of my shoulders, and I have I have TMJ, and that's like literally where I can feel my jaw just clenching, not grinding my teeth per se, but it's just kind of like, and then as everybody who knows me knows, my leg starts kind of doing this whole impulse vibration shake, it's in addition to, replaying conversations in my head and whatnot, uh, this whole like feeling emotionally braced, um, even when nothing's really happening. That's kind of what alert mode kind of feels like. Sometimes the situation ends, but it's kind of like it takes a while for your body to process. So drop a uh, drop a thermometer emoji if you can find it, or just something that looks like a little like a gauge. Like, oh, better yet, instead of that, let's do the little red flashy alert. If you've ever just stayed stuck in alert mode longer than you wanted, just like a blaring, all of these things just are just ways to kind of physically ground ourselves when stuff like this happens. So, let's see. Oh, so this next segment we're going to go ahead and discuss about from a gamer's perspective, and I feel like the majority of us in here are gamers. Oh, thank you for joining my fan club. Hello, thank you for the heart me, everybody. So this next segment here goes out to all the gamers in particular, but from a gamer's perspective, think about what happens when your character in the game starts glitching out, like either your health is low or the mission starts going sideways, we you don't keep just sprinting forward hoping that the game will fix itself, right? I mean, you pause, you go to the save menu, you reload a save point, adjust your setup, or reset the game all entirely. Emotional recalibration kind of works the same way. Um, when you're stuck in alert mode, the goal isn't to push harder. It's to reload that version of yourself that actually works. And just like in games, everybody has a different way they reset. Um, and your reset style is basically whatever helps your nervous system return to its baseline. And you don't have to figure this out when you're calm. It's kind of like you notice it more so counterintuitively after something that stresses you out. Um, Here are a few kind of like just basic reset styles and how it kind of relates to that initial gaming analogy I mentioned. So there's one reset style I like to call the mover. Um, so the mover is somebody that calms down by doing something literally that, just kind of physically moving. Hold on, bear with me, guys. We're gonna go ahead and all right. So now my phone is charged. We're gonna go ahead and see. Now we've reset ourselves back to ground. Boom. Here we go. So now we're gonna go. All right. So what we're gonna do now? Back to what I was talking. Sorry, I got distracted there. The mover. So the mover is somebody I like to describe as somebody that calms down by doing something physical. Uh, yeah, like the topic is, like we're talking. I physically recentered myself, and that's what we're about to do here. So with the game, it's like sometimes people start like I love my controller to death, but I'm going to demonstrate kind of what I do a little bit. So sometimes people start hitting the controller thinking that, hey, if I physically manipulate this controller, I will be able to make something work. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like you have to like also in games sometimes we run around the map when our energy levels are down. We run around kind of regain stamina or if we don't want to necessarily focus too heavily on the main mission, we end up doing side quests or something like that. Basically, we use movement to kind of tell our system, hey, we're back in control. We're finding every way to get physically back into control. Um, the next style I would say is kind of similar to, I say the quiet one. Uh, these are the types of people that reset by reducing overall stimulation. So these would be people that, back to our game analogy, that would like pause the menu, like pause the game, sorry, pull up the game menu and then just walk away. Just the fact that the game menu is pulled up, uh, it usually when you pull up a pause menu in a game, it has a different audio that generally plays than what we've been used to, right? So if you're in a battle, sometimes it'll still have the battle music, but it'll kind of lower the volume. It'll yeah, it'll try to make you feel less stimulated, right? That's the overall vibe that a lot of these games tend to go for. So, um, in addition to pausing the game, lowering the volume, you can also step away from the screen itself. Silence tends to be a little bit of a safe zone where our system can reboot. Um, and that's just overwhelming of our senses. I mean, so senses regulate you in addition to being overwhelmed. So we reset by changing the environment. It's kind of like, you know, switching soundtracks or visuals in a game. Uh, Something as simple as even changing the skin of our characters. A lot of games offer various customization options. Just even though physically, like, see, I'm wearing Darth Vader. If I had the ability to, I could just swap it to something else. That's the ability I have to kind of feel better IRL. We could do the same thing in games. It's literally just the things that, you know, uh, like we could change the settings, even like, adjusting the volume, brightness, um, the background music, basically anything that we do to make the game overall playable. Um, And the last method I'm going to talk about is kind of the person who has to kind of think it out. So this is the person that would be kind of like the person who processes by either journaling, um, writing things down. Princess, welcome in, everybody. Rabbit, welcome in. Sorry, you guys. Hope you guys are having a good Monday. This is Mental Health Monday, episode 2. Um, we've just been discussing the different reset styles, and we're discussing the fourth and final one that I'd like to introduce you guys to, and that is the type of person that thinks out loud and has to write it down. So this involves usually literally physically writing things down, either in the form of journaling, voice notes, or just talking things through, which uh, in game usually, as most people hate to do, is, oddly enough, reading the either the controls, checking the map, or unfortunately replaying the tutorial, um, and actually figuring out what the quest, if you're stuck on a particular mission. Like, sometimes people go in blind into these games. You have to properly enjoy them. I get it, but sometimes reading the quest description is useful. It's like, hey, this is kind of the point of the quest that we're about to go on. So, um, knowing these are the different reset styles, I'd ask you guys in the comments now to kind of drop an emoji that matches your style. You might be more than one, and that's normal because you know, just like in characters, we're different types. They're just different ways to reset and save points. Uh, Case in point, if I look at my save files for Cyberpunk, I mean that game has so many save points, and I always do it usually before a particularly difficult mission. Case in point. So, um, yeah, once we know our overall reset style, the real challenge is kind of using it in the moment. Generally, when emotions are high and thinking clearly feels hard. So, Worth says, I'm a writer, I write things down or talk to someone. Yeah, that's perfect. And Worth, if you'd like, you're more than welcome to to join up in a box and discuss this. You don't have to turn on your camera, but you're more than welcome to discuss. Um, if you want to elaborate on that, you're more than welcome to.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So for me, if I have issues or something driving me crackers, I like to write it down, see it physically. So I've wrote it down and then talk to someone and go over it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So, for example, if I had a drama llama, I'd write all down what happened as if to keep it from my records of what's happened.
Hmm.
But I would always keep it. But however, if I talk to somebody, that helps also because then they can bounce off from another opinion looking outside in.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You never
Okay.
seen a remover? What way does that mean?
So, so a mover, as I was basically saying, is almost like somebody that kind of needs to do something physical, you know? So by physically moving around, we're able to, um, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to apply each of those styles to different kind of everyday moments. So,
Yes.
particularly like after an argument, let's say initially what I used to do was I used to push through and just kind of explain myself kind of to the point of, exhausting not only myself, sorry, but the person that I was arguing with. It's almost like, hey, I just want to make sure you know why this whole thing happened. Now I pause and step away, kind of like the mover, and let my body settle instead of reacting immediately. Um, so that situation also applies, after, let's say, something particularly embarrassing. Um, I try to remind myself that anything that is quote unquote embarrassing is usually because of how we felt in that moment. And it's just that it's one moment, and that one moment doesn't define me. That it was simply like that, just one moment. It's not a flaw in my character. Um, and then I can physically ground myself because then I'm able to bring that heightened sense of insecurity down further because it's like, whoa, okay, it was just one thing. It's not the big overall picture that, hey, look, I'm Darth. Darth has his moments too where he's probably, brooding in his thoughts. That's kind of the thing. We have these moments. So uh, also after social burnout, um, you know, that's been happening a lot recently. I kind of stopped forcing connection and become the quiet one and kind of let silence be productive instead of something I need to fix.
Yeah,
Kind of
it's
as
like
I
the
mentioned.
observer.
Yeah, yeah. So, uh, and then even after anxiety spikes, kind of when like, the first thing that, in any of these situations, the central theme is the ability to be able to ground yourself. That's kind of what all of these situations, would allow us to do is just first find a way to ground ourselves and then start mapping out what actually needs action without overanalyzing what causes anxiety. So, Worth, what would you say? How would you say you have kind of recalibrated in those situations?
I would say probably me personally, I try my best to avoid toxicity. So if I get like an inkling of it, I distance myself from it. And sometimes it can be misunderstood as being rude. And then that causes drama and then that causes stress. So it's preventing of the stress by not letting the behavior to be enabled, where you're actually in control of the situation. So you're doing an action rather than a reaction.
That's what it is. The action instead of the reaction is
Mm.
is probably the takeaway from that. Is that the reactive part would be just, like the physical action of hitting the game controller. That's just like, hey, I need to do
Exactly.
something right then and there to make it start working again.
Yes, because in your
Instead
mindset,
of,
you're thinking, because you're always told as a kid, it's like hit the old computer, just kick it and it'll work.
and now we have a little bit of a sensitivity to our very expensive machines and stuff like
Exactly.
that. So, you know, if we, I think that's kind of the thought that slows us down now is that, whoa, 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 I can't,
They're not
I
like the old
can't
Nokias.
exactly. Mike, Thank you for the likes. Hope you're doing well. So it would be one of those situations where if you end up throwing that controller out of just pure rage, then you're out of a controller, stuff like that.
Exactly.
So, you know, but you guys all had some, if you guys want to share some moments in the chat down below, Mike, I'm glad to hear that, my guy. Um, you guys all had some great insights, but let's go ahead and also switch gears and keep things light while staying grounded. We're going to kind of do what I call a reset roulette. And so we're going to kind of pick one of the three things here. It's either one thing you're proud of today, um, either the name of a song that helps you reset. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me move out of this here so you can see it. This is the art of emotional recalibration. That is the topic of our show today. And this was made by the lovely Worth of Steel as my co-host here. And yes, Mike, as Worth has asked, would you like to express how you decompress?
You don't have to turn on your camera, you can just voice it.
Yes, this is
No
voice
pressure.
only. We don't have to look our best.
Darth's
That's
running
okay.
first, Darth.
That's okay. Welcome in, Dan Miles. Hope you're doing well.
Sweet, Mike's gonna come up after his dog is settled.
All right. So So what we'll do is while we're waiting on Mike, we'll just if you guys in the comments want to drop one thing either that you're proud of today that you've done or last week that was a highlight of your week, um, a song that either helps you reset, um, or a boundary that you're working on. Kind of like last week, just a few little before we leave today, a little few homework assignments for you guys to work on. If you guys are feeling particularly overwhelmed, think of it like what's one thing that you can remove from your plate? Um, just kind of section off priority wise, something that would make you feel less overwhelmed. And if you're feeling understimulated, oh, Mike, sorry, go ahead. Here, welcome in. You can still join. Welcome in, Bobby. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Brooke. Welcome in. This is Mental Health Monday, episode 2. You guys are more than welcome to join in as guests and discuss kind of how you guys emotionally recalibrate. And for those of you guys just joining in, this this full episode will be available on YouTube if there are certain things you guys missed. Um, but yeah, so we're kind of on the tail end of our discussion here today. So kind of like last week, I have some little homework assignment for you guys to work on. Like I said, so if you're overwhelmed, just kind of think about something you can remove from your plate. If you're understimulated, something that would make make things feel just a little bit more full. Kind of like how think of it like you want to snack on something. Oh, hello. Who we've got joining in? Mike, go ahead. I'm gonna allow you to share your bit now, Mike. I'm so sorry.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to share
Hey,
space with
Hey,
you.
thanks for coming in.
First of all, happy Monday, and hope everyone's doing well. Um, yeah, I want to share. The first question you said was that what was something that you were proud of or something good that happened this past week?
That's correct.
yeah, correct.
I actually took a couple of days off without remorse. I was like, you know what? Let me take a day off today for mental health and recalibrate myself. sometimes when you work a lot, you tend not to focus on yourself and you're focusing on everybody else's problems at work. So today I just kind of sitting here cleaning up the house, laundry, dishes, things like that.
It's Mike Day.
Yeah, it's an
Exactly. It's mover Mike day. Would you say you tend to identify more as the mover? So what you've described is what we were initially discussing is like that's the best way to just find your reset point is just either cleaning, just something that physically brings you back and it's a benefit to you because maybe you let yourself go on a few things, got a little lazy and whatnot, and there you go. So it's a two for one situation, you know.
I think
So
I think the people who know me the best would tell you I'm all about consistency. I wake up at 4:30. I'm at the gym at 5. Drop off the kids at school. At the office, about 8:39. Work until like 5 or 6. Come home and got to do what I got to do. But when you have a busy and long day, you tend to lose focus on yourself. I find myself, sitting in front of my computer right through lunch or never taking a break. So,
that's the hardest part.
yeah, so having like a mental health day, it's my way of just kind of realigning, recalibrating, refocusing.
And the best
Um,
part is, you can also then you can tie in whatever music then, while you're doing all
oh,
of this and yeah,
my favorite
just have a
song,
jam out session,
What's your favorite
you know.
jam?
oh, Champagne Supernova from Oasis.
Good choice.
And the reason why is that for those who know me also, I love to skateboard after work. My board is literally in my trunk, and during the summertime, there's plenty of sunlight after the office. But during the winter here in New York City, it's cold and dark, so I never see the
Yes.
sun during the day. Um, but I enjoy it because it brings me back to my childhood happiness. Like everything else, I just forget about the problems, and I just like I smile a lot, but like when I'm boarding and when I'm in that moment, like, my smile is more childish and innocent and unadulterated,
That's
and
amazing.
That's got to
it's a
be the
vibe.
most freeing feeling too, especially being on a board. I have not personally been boarding ever, but I've seen a lot. I had a lot of friends growing up that would go skateboarding and watching them do just little ollies, little tricks and stuff like that, just going into the bowl and just,
Yeah.
it's so flawless, it's like it's a freeing experience. I mean, I'd say the closest thing you could do to flying on land.
And you're absolutely right. Now, I am 44, so I have to take it down a notch. And, I switched to a longboard, so it's just very casual. A lot of my neighbors, kids on my block, they see me. I'll like, I'll pedal to them and, they'll give me a high five while I'm like passing by. And my
Nice.
neighbors are just like older, so they're just like, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." And I'm still wearing my tie.
Hey,
Why
but
not?
that's the thing, we've got Tony Hawk. Look at him. He's the OG, and
Yeah, but that
I've
was
I've
his
seen
full
some
time job.
commercials where
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
And then, you know, I think the part of that song that's just always on repeat. I'm not a crazy partier. I do enjoy life, but I do enjoy, the Devil's Lettuce after work, not during work, after work.
Sure, sure.
More in like the edible form, and just to be on like a elevated platform in mind and body and spirit, it's different for me. It's not something to just kind of be addicted to. It's just when I'm present at that moment, it amplifies the exhilaration and the experience of just freely being happy without any responsibility as an adult.
Well, Mike, I'm glad you brought that up because that's actually the name of another segment uh, or another topic that we discuss on another channel here. It's like a subtopic. We call it wake, bake, and meditate. And, those are kind of all elements where in that elevated state of mind, you just let your thoughts ponder and just freely float. And those are kinds of it's gonna be a 30-minute block. This one we're kind of doing like a slightly longer one because of discussion points and whatnot. But
Yeah.
so that was gonna be like a 30-minute kind of segment in which we just let our brains just fully just
Well,
think
just
intellectual thoughts.
to kind of give you a little perspective, like I do wear a tie at the office every day, and I'm responsible for a few people and a few, stuff. But the whole point is that when I was saying about longboarding, when you are in that state of mind and you just forget about all the stressors in life and just if you're able to achieve like this nirvana or this euphoric effect, it just it transcends you, honestly. And
Agreed.
yeah, because you know what, life has a way of really conforming us and restricting us from being the childhood versions of ourselves, right? We grow up, we get a job, we have bills, we have responsibilities, and then we forget how to be a child. Like look at the innocence of children when they're playing. Like they don't see anything. They just big smiles on their face.
Yeah, they don't realize anything. They just live in
There's
the
no
moment.
Yeah, they don't worry about the world ending or world hunger or none of that. They just play, you know? And that's what like I know I contribute a lot to like my community by volunteering, coaching, teaching. And that's what my way of giving back, but that sense of responsibility, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be 100% of our time. We can just enjoy life peacefully without harming anybody, without making other people's lives difficult. You know, anybody who knows me, like, I don't talk about people. I don't have time for that. Like, I have my own life. I try to enjoy when I don't have to work, and I try to encourage others. Just take it easy. Life's too short. You know.
100%.
That's the best part. I've heard some bits of a song. In our song, there's a song. Obviously, we all know this. Don't worry, be happy. There's parts of that song where it's
Oh,
like, if you have that frown, you turn that frown upside down. I mean, don't worry, be happy.
be
Come on,
happy. Yeah.
yeah.
Like I had my own personal journey with my health. Like I weighed a lot and I started going to the gym and I did it for other reasons. Yes, going to the gym is fun. You get the rush of dopamine and endorphins and it's just like a runner's high. We have friends who run and we have colleagues who like to exercise. But for me, waking up at 4:30 and doing that, that's the way my body wakes up. So if I miss a day, the rest of my day is not 100%.
Yeah.
Like
Be,
I'll get
because
through
it
it, but
because it throws off that routine that you've established. See, that's kind of the same thing. You mentioned you go. Did you say you alternate? Because I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
no, I'm every day.
He's
Oh,
every
okay,
day.
gotcha.
Like
Yep, gotcha.
yeah, I'm one of those people. I'll be in bed at 9 o'clock. Like I'll shut out the world. But that's the thing. I allowed my exercise the first thing in the morning to be the first actual restriction of my life on a daily basis. Yes, we can all say we do it for health reasons or whatever, but if you conform to the normalcy that from the moment you woke up, you have to exercise, it's like a mental restriction because if you don't do it, then it something's off, right?
Well,
So
and it's what you said right there. It's almost like that thought was planted there. It's not a free thought. So
exactly.
it's not a the motivation behind it feels then just to check off a box instead of that
Yes.
self-driven thought
Yes.
that, I got to do this, or, well, sorry, I shouldn't say I have to do this as I want to do it. See, that have to becomes the want to.
Yeah. See, like I love the gym. I love how I feel, but I do force myself to actually get up and go to the gym.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Like when I go to
So,
skateboarding after work, it's by choice. If I have the time, I would just do that, you know? So that's what I meant. Like you have to take those moments to align yourself and refocus, and balance all your emotions because your whole day is full of stress,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
you know?
And stress is one of those things that, if you just sweep it under the rug, it always finds a way of coming back.
Yeah.
So the routines that we establish, I mentioned that I go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because I give myself those days on Tuesday and Thursday to reset physically also because I Friday is leg day. So Monday I do upper body, that's just strictly
Mhm.
arms. Then Wednesday I do back, like back
Yeah.
exercises, and I throw in just a little. I'm always doing something for conditioning, so I'm always doing cardio. So it's either
Yeah.
elliptical or a stair climber or something.
And
So,
listen, when you're heavier set and it's not by choice, not by choice, it's by choice, meaning like, obesity due to high caloric, intake. You eat a lot. It's a vicious cycle. It's emotional, right? I realized that I was eating to feel happy, but then I was gorging myself to the point that I was unhappy.
Yeah.
So there was a
yeah,
psychological component
yeah.
to eating. Once I was able to break the connection and align my body to like what it actually needs, not only did I get stronger because my weight has stayed the same for quite some time, but I switched to like calisthenics. So it's all just kind of like body weight. And, I noticed a difference. My clothes are fitting. I'm still smiling, but my smile, I think, just got bigger.
You got an amazing look, man. Smiling is something that I don't do enough of either. Like I've found myself literally just kind of doing that kind of thing sometimes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I have these
19-foot
amazing
one is
teeth.
this.
You've got amazing teeth too, my guy. Just, best thing we can do is just let our teeth shine. And Miss
But
Worth
you,
up there, I know she's got some gorgeous teeth. Go ahead, give us a smile, sweetheart. There you go. Look at
but
that.
here's the
I would never
thing.
show the pearls.
Somebody actually called me out recently. They're like, Mike, you have three very distinct smiles. I'm like, no, I'm smiling all day. And they're like, no, there's a smile you give to everyone. There's a smile like of genuine happiness. And then there's a smile that sparks a room when somebody walks in that you really appreciate. And I was just like, huh, that makes sense,
Yeah,
you know?
it's contagious. It's almost like you could just feel the positivity just off
you
of
you hear
them.
that, right? It's a sense of responsibility for others when you can spread positivity through just smiling and acknowledging
Just by
people. It's as
smiling.
simple as that. That's all people want, just a little acknowledgement. They don't want anything
And we
else.
and we see that a lot on here in these random videos that a lot of the influencers do, right? Where they're just like, "Hey, I'm having a bad day. Could I have a hug?" Just a simple, just a simple. I know a hug is pushing it too far for some people. Some people don't really like the physical contact, but I would modify that script if I were to do that. Would be, "Hey, how about just a smile, man? Let's just. How about you show us a big smile? Looks like you're having a bad day. Just give me just crack a big smile." You
Well,
know,
Darth, I usually go live, like, I usually have office hours, right? And all of us, we're all just kind of like working together, but I'm not really paying attention to the screen. If I do, and, I see my friends, I smile. Like, I'm just happy that they're there. Or if I go into like guest rooms and I'm smiling like this, I'm just happy to be here. Like, people, invite me up and I'm like, oh, let me, make sure I'm presentable. I don't want to mope around and spread negativity. Like positivity is also contagious, and
That's the
you
thing.
have
Is like, I could feel it through the phone. It's radiating. That's the thing,
to.
It's just, and I mean, in general, I could just, I think I've been in a couple of your lives earlier as well, and that's the thing. I've just kind of,
Have
in
you?
general, just noticed the dynamic is just overall positive. I mean, and
And
that's thanks to Worth over there. She has really, she's introduced me to a lot of positive people overall. And I think that's also what's part of this segment, is these are all the elements that bring us all together and just help us stay grounded. Because
thank you.
I
It's the
mean, it's a
human
social
element that,
platform. Yeah.
yeah,
100%.
it's the human element that we need to start to enjoy more. Like, I'll share with you, I enjoy eating food. I take my time. I realize like whatever I'm like putting into my body is fueling, my soul, my vessel. I don't rush food. I don't. You know,
Yeah, you want to
it's the
enjoy
same
each
way.
bite. It's that texture thing. It's like each bite you take is releasing that inner feeling of gratification.
Like
And
me
it's the
eating dried
same with,
cereal helps my mindfulness. That helps me reset myself. If I'm at work and it's a long day and I don't have anybody I can talk to because I share my office with myself, I eat my dry cereal. It's the crunchiness that gives the mindfulness
The
of my brain to
ASMR,
settle.
right? See, we could break it down into the ASMR even is like that whole thing is usually done in comedic purposes or usually for not
yeah,
so friendly purposes on
Mm-hmm.
here, let's just be honest. But
yeah.
case in point, that would even be something like, giving like something like squeezing something like you can just like put a sound to that and be like, leave the
Or
poor
I have
bear
a friend
alone.
whose keyboard strokes, as soon as I hear that keyboard, I know exactly who just came into my life. I'm telling you, because yeah, I have plenty of mods who, they'll bring up people who request, and without her even saying a word, I'm like, I know who that is. Like,
You know
Right.
each person's character. You know the way quirks,
yes,
as they say. You know their quirks.
yes, and
And I think that's
little
why
things like
mechanical
that.
keyboards were created, is because of that, like that tangible feeling that, when you actually push a key, that tactile feedback, that's a whole nother topic, but, it's like, that's what we use, that physical, tangible reminder that we are, you know, accomplishing
In the
something.
moment,
Typing even is like, you see it on the screen, you see it here, and you're like,
yeah.
whoa, I did that. I did that, you know?
So those like human interactions, like sitting on a bench and watching people, like I people watch. I always imagine like what they're going through or what conversations they're having to themselves or others, or the happiness that you see in a couple holding hands, or like the sadness, of somebody who's carrying some bag. I don't know, just
I do the voices for them.
yeah.
Well, so see, last week we mentioned how people play the game Sims to kind of, give themselves that outer body experience. It's almost like, are they necessarily playing as themselves, or are they kind of putting a scenario in which they're
Like a
trying to
different
just see
version
the
of them.
outcome? Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where I
But
think The Sims really took off and was like the best thing, I think personally, for mental health, because it's like you could create yourself or a version of yourself, and all of these elements we discussed today about, how we reset. I think The Sims is probably the best epitome of all of these things. You can literally change your character, skins, whatever. You can listen to a different music. I mean, change the career. Everything is so customizable, but yeah,
but there's also a danger to it, right? It's the disconnect from who you really are. Now, in
agreed.
my like platform, I always encourage growth and development and their own personal journeys. Like those are so necessary. Like people need to have positive reinforcement, even if it's coming from me, a perfect stranger. Like if I see somebody going to the gym, you have to applaud their efforts. Like if I see someone who's a stay-at-home mom who decided to go back to school, little things like that, you need to encourage others. You can't just be sad. Don't live in your misery. Don't be in love with your misery. Like if you and all it takes is a little effort to change your mindset. You know, when you see the world positively, the world becomes positive to you.
Behavior breeds behavior.
And in a way, it's almost like that's what you're going to be putting out. If you're radiating negativity by wallowing in your own negativity, it's almost like
Stop.
it's going to be a bubble. It's going to be like, hey, just let's not gravitate towards this. We don't want to get soaked in, or we don't want to get wrapped into what's. I mean, you want to be sympathetic. I've found myself in so many of those situations where it's like you could just feel that something is off. You just want to approach it from a distance, but then it's like it's that black hole situation. It's like, whoa, where did like, hold up.
I do apologize. I'm starting to see some of my friends in the comment section. Like you see, like I saw their name and right away it just like that smile just came
Yeah,
out of me and
I
I'm like,
saw
oh
it.
my God.
And then
Thank you
Nick Knack is now
guys.
in your membership. She followed you, Darth. The girl Nick Knack is now
Oh,
following you and sent you a
well, thank
rose.
you. Thank you for the
That
follow.
that was such a nice compliment. I gotten to the point where I seek out Mike daily. His presence fills my day.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes.
Some of my friends they know how to make me blush. And
Bridget, thank you,
that's it
everybody.
right
Thank you for
there.
the
It's
likes.
the appreciation. Bridget, hi. It's the appreciation. That's what it is. You know, like you need to appreciate and like validate other people's perception of you. Like if you're a positive person and somebody just once in a while just that reinforcement just it elevates you, you know. Now I'm
100%.
happy. Now I'm going to like walk around my house doing chores with a big goofy smile on my face.
I
Whoop,
love it.
whoop. Encourage, not
Yes. That
discourage.
is the best.
You know,
You,
see, look, this is a natural high that anybody could have. Like just shift your mindset just a little, you know, like stay away from like negativity, the negative like the rooms, you know. You're grown enough to realize and acknowledge what's out there. And I think if you can just be present in like a wholesome setting, you're going to be happier, you know? Like you don't need to be in rooms that are not appreciating others and that are not, you know, trying to lift each other up. You know, people get stuck in the moment just because they get a little attention and it's the wrong room for them.
Yeah, because it can prey on their vulnerability or can prey on something that's affecting them mentally.
And
yep.
and that's it. Like they don't have the emotional capacity or the mental fortitude to acknowledge that. It's all emotional intelligence. Like read the room. You don't necessarily have to go and participate. You could say hi, you could say God bless you, and you could move on. You could acknowledge your
Exactly.
friends. You don't have to put them down. Like let them do
No.
their thing.
Be an
But
arc, a
Bo-
random act of kindness.
that's
Bobby
it.
Blue Eyes, would you like to join the box and describe what you just said in the comments there, buddy? You're more than welcome
Bobby
to.
Blue Eyes, I he was one of my earlier friends when I first started TikTok, and I still remember him.
Very
He's a good
cool.
guy. So is Bridget. So is Nick Knack. I see these guys.
That's why I always say to my friends, I
Oh,
appreciate you before I end the call with them or chat with them.
there are so few times where I come across Mike's live where he isn't smiling.
That's
Bridget.
see, it's little things like that, man. Those little comments are just enough to just that warm fuzzy feeling.
Hey, Bobby, welcome in.
Welcome
Hi,
in, Bobby.
Bobby. How are you today?
Cold, sore, and discombobulated, it seems like.
Well, it's good to have you in. Thank you for
It's
joining us.
good to have you in here, man.
Well, hey, at my age, everything is always cold, sore, and discombobulated.
That's
But
understandable, and cold weather is reflective of that.
Yeah, well,
but Bobby,
I'm in the Chicago area.
how blessed are you to feel those like discomforts? Like you're alive. Like you woke
Yeah,
up. Like you have an opportunity to enjoy another
yeah.
whole day.
Well, Darth. I mean, Mike, you can tell Darth kind of like my history if you want.
It's not my
Yeah,
story
this
to
is a
share,
safe
You're
man.
space.
fine.
I don't share
You're more
anybody's
than welcome
story.
to
Thank you,
share. This is a
Givers.
safe space.
Oh, well, I don't need a safe space. Everybody needs their safety from me. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, well, a little backstory. I know Worth and Mike have heard it hundreds of times. So, but me, it's like I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 13 years ago. And then I had to have my gallbladder removed, almost died from that because it was doubled in size, gangrene was setting in. I used to weigh 310 pounds. I lost the weight. And after I lost the weight, I survived a cardiac arrest, had to be revived 4 times, was in a coma and on a ventilator.
You
So
survived a heart attack.
today,
That's the biggest thing that I was really like,
yeah,
you know,
And you want
no,
to know
actually,
the truth?
no, cardiac arrest. That's even worse
cardiac
than me.
arrest. I'm sorry. That's even worse.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. Sorry, what were we gonna say,
All
Mike?
of this culminated to the point that we are here to share this experience together,
Yeah,
Bobby.
exactly. But
100%, Mike.
and my thing is, it's like I can talk to strangers and everything because you never know what they're going through, and it's like, just put that little smile on their face, or just give them that little glimmer of hope, like, hey, it's not so bad, like you're here today,
Exactly.
Every day
but
is a
I made
blessing.
this. Right. I made this lady smile. And well, a couple people. She goes, I go, I'm sorry if I'm in your way. She goes, no, you're fine. I go, I know I'm good looking. Quit reminding me.
That was good.
Worth,
I like that.
could you do just a quick reminder as to how long we are here? Because I think we may need to start wrapping this
You've
up.
got another 6 minutes, my friend.
Have been what now?
You have another 6 minutes to wrap it up.
Another 6 minutes. Okay. So,
Oh,
yes,
so it's like the 2 minute. So it's like the 2 minute warning.
That's why he asked me because it doesn't sound as bad. He gets the woman to do it, so I look bossy, and he doesn't.
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh,
Yeesh. All right, let's see. How would Darth reset from that situation?
that's
Let's
why I
do a
did it to test his waters, Mr. Robin.
Those are hot. Those are hot waters.
It keeps him nice and
You know,
toasty because it's cold.
please excuse me. There is one person that I always promise whenever it's lunchtime that I will go to. I'm going to
Sure.
start my live. God bless you guys.
Yeah, of
I'll see you
course.
guys soon.
It was nice
Bye,
talking
Mike.
with you,
Bye,
Mike.
Mike.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank
Be
you for
safe, be
joining
well.
in.
We can talk
God
again.
bless.
We'll probably pop it. Well, we'll probably pop in his live too. So
So if you see
probably
behind Darth, if he just moves, I'll push him over. That's what we're
well,
doing today. The art of
yeah.
emotional recalibration, today's topic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just followed you, Darth.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the follow. And like I said, for those of you guys just joining in, this will be on YouTube. Links are in the bio. Um, just a reminder, you guys. Thank you again for showing up today. Healing isn't linear. Some weeks are about growth. Others are about rest. Resetting isn't quitting. That's what I want to stress. It's called recalibrating for a reason. You got to give yourself permission to come back to yourself as many times as you need. And for anybody who, again, like I said, missed parts of today's live, the full recap is going to be on YouTube. And I am going to have to go ahead and end this here, you guys. So till next time, this is DJ Vader signing off, and this has been Mental Health Monday.
Have
Hope
a
you
good day,
guys have a
everyone.
good
Be safe,
rest of
be
your
well.
day.
Thank you, Worth. Thank you, Worth, for
Thank you,
inviting
Bobby.
me.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, you guys.
I will. Thank you too.